Hello everybody, Pete Pardo here from Comic Book Geezers. Welcome to another episode of Inside the Cover of a Great Warren magazine. This is from 1968, issue number 26 of Creepy. And of course, that is a great cover of Basil Gogos interpretation of Lon Chaney Sr.'s London After Midnight character, right? Creepy number 26, April 1968. Only 40 cents. Imagine that, 40 cents for this big magazine, right? So here we've got 6 tales, I believe, inside. Yes, indeedy. Publisher James Warren. Editor Bill Parente. Cover Basil Gogos, like I mentioned. Artist this issue, Tony Williamson, Ernie Colon, Eugene Colon, otherwise known as Gene Colan, Jerry Grandinetti, Tom Sutton, and Steve Ditko. Writers in this issue, Archie Goodwin and Bill Parente. And then, of course, in the inside cover of all the Creepies, you got Creepy's Loathsome Lore, a little one-page kind of thing. This is all about explaining about the Bigfoot myth, right? Kind of silly. And then you get the table of contents, right? It's a pretty good issue here. It's a little shorter as far as like total pages go. This one's 50 pages, but some really good stories in here. And of course, it caps it off with Dear Uncle Creepy, letters page, right? And then Stranger in Town. So this is art by Reed Crandall, script by Bill Parente. Did they even? Interestingly enough, they don't even mention artists in this issue. They don't even mention Reed Crandall on the table of contents page as someone who writes part of the or who draws some of the stories, but there he is, right? So quality control person was not checking into this, right, back in 1968. So here we have this guy. His name is John Randolph. He is driving down like a country road somewhere at night. Fog is really great. He can't see where he's going. So he's like, you know what? I think I'm kind of close to where I got to be. He's looking for perdition. I know, where in perdition am I? He's looking for the main road. He's looking for a specific place, right? So Pride's Crossing, that's what he's looking for. So there, he's like, it's got to be here somewhere according to the map. Let me get out of the car and walk. And as he's walking, the fog is really thick. The stranger comes out of nowhere and said, Pride's Crossing. He goes, is that what you're looking for? The village is gone long ago. Nothing here now except for me. And he goes, what? Mister, am I glad to see you? Because, come, we'll take a walk. And I'll let you know, I'll tell you what became of Pride's Crossing. Come. Never listen to strangers on a dark mountain road in the middle of the night with lots of fog, right? So he's telling the story of Wilfred, the birth of Wilfred Mapes, who was born from Frida and Eliza Mapes, right? So this couple has a baby. When the baby is delivered, they're like, oh my God, that's one ugly baby, right? So, and of course, you know, as the baby grows up, people in the town, Pride's Crossing, are like, oh, this little kid's a monster. He's so ugly, keep him away from us. But his father, Eliza, is kind of like a botanist, right? So he's busy creating all these kind of odd and exotic plant life and doing all these experiments, right? So as Wilfred grows up, he's just trying to be a normal kid, whatever, right? He goes and delivers some flowers to the lovely neighbor, but of course he doesn't realize the experiments that his father's doing out in the backyard. So he takes flowers from the yard, and in the middle of the night, the flowers come to life and strangle the lovely neighbor. So the townspeople, of course, a very small town, they figured that these plants came from his yard, right? So they're like, what do we? So they go and they burn the house down, kill the parents. Wilfred runs away, goes into the swamp. They chase him into the swamp, and of course they shoot him. Right here you can see him down at the bottom there with the BAM. Pretty ugly dude, right? They don't really show him all that much, but you do get like a brief little look at that. Tim, he's just very funny looking ugly kid, and he gets shot. He goes into the swamp, falls into the swamp. And in typical comic book fashion, right, as he's sort of dying, his body fuses with all the elements of the swamp, and he kind of turns into this swamp creature, right? And of course, now he's wanting revenge because not only did the townspeople try and kill him, but they killed his parents. So now they go back, go back to one of the local tavern, and all the townspeople are talking about, we realized when we burned the house down, we didn't burn down all the stuff in his backyard. We should go and just destroy all of that plant life. So they all go and do that. And then as they're trying to chop down and burn some of the stuff in the yard, they notice like all the vegetation's kind of coming to life. And all of a sudden, good Lord, all of the vegetation in the town basically is Wilfred, right? So in here, the whole garden is alive. That's a very cool page right there. It'll kill us all. Right? So basically... So then we cut back to the present, and the traveler is actually talking to this man, and then he realizes that the man starts changing, and he's actually Wilfred Mapes, and he turns into the giant plant creature. And then basically Wilfred says, "Yeah, in order to eat, because there's no townspeople left. I've eaten them all. I've killed them all. I still need protein to survive. So what do? I basically, get people to come out here looking for the town that doesn't exist, and then I get my protein." So basically he just engulfs the traveler, and that's that. So basically Pride's Crossing lives on and on based on Wilfred, this plant creature that is now Wilfred Mapes. And as travelers come in, he devours them, and he continues to live on. But the town is basically dead. So here we have next story called Second Chance, art by Steve Ditko, script by Archie Goodwin. Yes, of course, that's Steve Ditko, who was 1968, probably... Was he doing Doctor Strange at the time? It's either after, it could be after, because he was doing a bunch of stuff with Warren for a bit, so this might be after his run in Spider-Man. May or may not have still been working on Doctor Strange. I'm not really sure. Probably not, but I would have to go back and look at the dates there. So here we have a little prologue about a bunch of cops going by a graveyard, like a cemetery, and they hear about a little disturbance there. They find a shovel. It's got some blood on it, and then nearby they hear someone kind of laughing hysterically, and they see this guy who they kind of recognize as he's been a grave robber before. They've been kind of looking for him, and he's just sitting there. He's all white-haired, and he's just laughing hysterically. So what happened to him? Why did his hair turn white? What's going on with him? And then now we go back to where the story begins. And you've got this, I'll tell you a little bit of the story here. So for a time after he died, Edward Nugent drifted in a limbo without dimension, without thought, like a dreamless slumber. Then sensation wakened in his floating form, and he found himself drawn into a half-world of horror. A shifting, changing nightmare that reached out and engulfed him in an amoeba universe wrapping around him, pulling him to its core. I knew it would be bad, but not like this. Who could imagine it, prepared for it? But I've got to keep my senses. I've got to. So here, you can see that a very cool kind of psychedelic artwork of Steve Ditko, if you're familiar with what he worked on with Doctor Strange specifically. But it's really cool seeing it all in black and white here. That's what's doing all the art and all the inks and everything. So we're following Mr. Nugent here, kind of descending into hell, basically, is what's going on here. And here you can see some fantastic creatures and whatnot. So he meets up with Beelzebub himself and basically said, I shouldn't be treated this way. I made a pact with you. I did what you asked me to do while I was alive, and you told me once I died, based on all I've done, that you would let me go back to life at the moment of when I died, right? So Beelzebub basically says to him, let's see, we made a bargain. I've worn this sign of yours, this little sign of the devil, on his chest as proof. Surely you haven't forgotten. Surely you wouldn't. I forget nothing. This is only a chance to reconsider, to call the bargain off and accept your fate as it now stands. So, we're dealing with Satan here, right? So he goes, give up and remain here when I can still hold you to our pact. I want what's due me. He goes, first look and see what waits when the agreement's done. He goes, you're trying to frighten me, scare me out of the deal. The deal was if I died, you'd give me life again. I could take up where I left off. With the rotten life I've led, you've got me either way. But with the pact, I'm going to get a lot of good years in before you do. What do you think I made it for? Very well, Mr. Nugent, but now the pit will be waiting. Okay, you've had your say. Now I want to go back, and I want to go back right now as we agreed. I'll take up life where you left off. So where do you think he left off? So be it. So basically, where did he leave off? He left off in the ground, right? Because that was that was his last kind of moment, right? When he died. So here now we cut back to the present, and you see the two grave robbers are going. They're digging into his grave. They open up the casket, and there is Mr. Nugent, who's now alive, right? So then we cut back to, so that was basically now up to the very, very present. So here we have the cops once again who see one of the grave robbers who's like white as a ghost, laughing hysterically, kind of like just sitting there. And they're like, what's up with him? And then they go back a little, they start searching around. They see the other grave robber who has died of fright. And then they see a grave has been opened. They look in and they see another guy in the grave who looks like he has been impaled in his chest with the shovel. So they're like, so I'll just read it to you. It says they used the spade on it, beat it with the spade. That's where the blood came from. But why would two experienced grave robbers be so frightened of a corpse to do that? I don't know, kid. Maybe we should be frightened too. When was the last time you saw an embalmed corpse bleed? So obviously he came back to life. He was alive. The grave robbers saw him, figured we're scared shitless that a corpse is alive, and beat the corpse to death. So now Mr. Nugent, who wanted so badly to be alive again, was alive, beaten to death. He's now dead and gone, and that is the end of the story. So another one of those kind of careful what you wish for type of things, right? So here we got some fan club stuff, and then a story called Completely Cured. All right, so here we have a man who's on a train. Okay, he's on a train to nowhere. He's heading to Fallsburg. Fallsburg, where? There's a Fallsburg here in New York. He's on a train to Fallsburg. He's kind of, sitting on the train. Not a lot of people on the train. He all of a sudden notices that the train stops. And they stop in Grimsdale. And he goes, and they said, technical difficulties, we're going to make a pit stop here for a little while in Grimsdale. So he gets off the train. He goes, got to find out what's going on and phone the folks, let them know I might be a while, right? So he gets off and he's like, there's nobody around, right? He goes, where'd the conductor go? There's a hotel down the street. Should be a phone there. Let me go check that out. He notices there's no other passengers walking around. He's wondering why nobody's upset that the train just stopped here at a place they weren't supposed to. So walks in and goes, excuse me, my train got delayed and I was wondering. And the guy behind the counter, who looks really strange, I'll show you the section. I watched it pulling in before. We don't get too many trains in Grimsdale. A phone, you say? And the guy says to himself, oh my God, look at his face. He goes, yeah, I want to call Fallsburg. Fallsburg, nice town. Go across the lobby, down that corridor. Be careful, mister, it's dark. Thanks, I'll be fine. So he goes to find the phone. And then he looks over his shoulder and he goes, I must be pretty tired. That clerk looked like he was dead. And then he looks behind him and he's like, It's like, what is going on here in this town, right? So he sees all these like kind of crazy dead-like people. So he freaks out, runs out, doesn't even make his phone call. He's getting chased all over town. He goes into a garbage bin. It's filled with dead bodies and corpses, right? Then he goes back onto the street. He sees all these like hooded people carrying a casket with candles walking down the street. He goes, where are they headed? Let me go. That coffin. I must see who it is, right? And then all of a sudden the people turn, they see him, and they're like, we knew you'd come back, Andrew. This place, have I been here? Did you imagine you could leave your doom behind you? You left life because you were afraid of it, only to learn that death is the far greater agony. It can't be. No, not here. And he looks at the headstone. That's his name. Died 1964. Okay. He goes, you can't do this. I don't belong here. They grab him. They put him into the coffin. Thud. Close it up. And then next we go to Fallsburg. The train arrives in Fallsburg. He's got family there waiting for it. And of course, what are they waiting for? They're waiting for his body. So he was never alive, right? He was dead. He was on his way to Fallsburg for sure, but in a casket. Okay. All right. Next up, Untimely Meeting. Art by Ernie Colon, script by Bill Parente. Here's a guy who's just escaped from prison. He's down somewhere near like the swamps, the Everglades, I guess, maybe down in Florida. He escapes from prison, takes one of the guards out, running through the swamps. Right. Next thing you know, you've got the warden and a whole bunch of the guys in the prison with the dogs. They're after him. The guy's getting delirious. He's in the sun. Wasn't he just in the swamp 2 seconds ago? Now he's on a highway. The sun's beating down on him. He's just walking around. Something's wrong here, right? Right there, and you know something's wrong because it's not where he kind of passed out. But the guys, that are chasing him from the prison, they're like, oh, if he made it out that way, not good. We may never see him come back. So He all of a sudden keeps walking. He sees a car pull up. A guy gets out of the car. He goes, "Oh, where are you heading? Can I go with you?" And he goes, "No, you can't. This is not an oasis. But you can't come with me." And he goes, "Hell, I can't." So what does he do? He bashes him in the head, takes the car, starts driving. All right. He's driving and driving and driving. It's like, where's this go to? Where's this highway going to? And then as he continues to drive, he notices that he is aging tremendously. I'm traveling into the future. I've got to stop, get back somehow. What good is this now? So then he realized, well, maybe if I turn around, I can reverse whatever's happening here. So as he's driving back, he's turning younger again. But then all of a sudden, coming straight at him is another car. It looks like the same car. Who's driving it? He's driving it. The past and the present are colliding. Crash, burn, dead. So, yeah. All right, we got some cool stuff here. Films that are available. All right. Blob, Abbott Costello, Frankenstein. And then the next story is called Backfire. A little bit of a Western story. Art by Gray Morrow, script by Archie Goodwin. So here you have this guy. His name is Terrell. Okay, they tell his full name. Anyway, he's like an old Western killer type guy. So he stumbles upon this town. He sees a saloon. He goes, "I got to get a drink and a meal." So he walks in, and of course the bartender, the innkeeper, knows who he is already. He goes, "The bar is closed, Mr. Terrell." He goes, "What the? Where'd you come from? Don't be scaring me like that. How did you know my name?" He goes, "Oh, your reputation precedes you. Come on in. I'll get you a drink in a bit. We're getting ready we're doing a little kind of court service thing here, right?" He goes, "It's a barroom trial." And the guy's like, whatever, I just want a drink, and whatever. And he's showing him his gun, and he's got like 11 notches on his gun. He goes, "Oh, so does that mean you killed 11 men?" He goes, "Well, I killed 12, actually. I just haven't had the chance to put my latest one on the notch, right, of the barrel of the gun, or the handle of the gun, whatever you call it." And then he's telling the story about the 12th one that he just killed in the last town, and how basically, he kind of instigated it, and just whatever, the guy really didn't deserve to die, but he wanted to do it anyway. So then the innkeeper says, "Yeah, well, we're getting ready to have the trial, but we're just waiting for our 12th juror. Oh, it looks like he's arrived, so we can probably get started." So the juror walks in, and the killer Terrell knows, "Oh my God, that's the guy I just shot in the last town." He goes, "How is this possible?" And basically he says, "Yeah." And then so the innkeeper says, "That thing," he goes, "No, I killed him in Ellsworth. It can't be. Get that thing out of here, old man, before I shoot you. Get it out. That thing is my son, the son you killed. Leave me alone, leave me alone." "Useless, Mr. Terrell." So Terrell starts shooting him, and nothing's happened. He goes, "My boy's death stopped my weak heart as surely as your bullet stopped him. Now, if you're done, we'll begin. The trial, your trial, Mr. Terrell, by a jury of your peers, the 12 men you killed. You can't, this isn't fair, this isn't fair." So all the jurors are actually all the people that he killed and gunned down, right? So and of course, it takes no time to come to a decision. He's guilty, so now all the jurors shoot him. You're guilty, here's your penalty, right? Then we cut back, and he's actually out on his horse coming into town. It's been raining. He kind of fell asleep. He goes, must have been all a dream. So he walks into the tavern. There's the old guy again. The whole thing starts up all over again. He goes, "This can't be. I thought it was only a dream." "No, it's not a dream. You have to relive this 11 more times." So basically the same thing happens over and over again. So he killed 12 people. He's going to have 12 trials, and he's going to die 12 times. Pretty cool, right? Model kits. All right. From Aurora, Spider-Man, Dick Tracy, Robot, Wonder Woman, Superman, the Hulk. Cool stuff. And then some back issues of Creepy. It's a really good issue, by the way. I really dig the stories in this one. And then the last, art by Jerry Grandinetti, script by Archie Goodwin. So actually there's no art from Gene Colan in this one. So that's the mistake. They list Gene Colan as one of the artists, but then we have the one story which someone else is, so they made a mistake there. But anyway, this is called Voodoo Doll. So here you have a guy who is looking to, he's an older guy in his 50s. He married like a young hot woman half his age, but of course she wants a divorce. She's tired of being married to him. She wants to go out and do her own thing. He wants to find a way to keep her, to have her divorce him. So he goes and he meets this guy, and he asks for a voodoo doll so he can kind of control her a little bit. So the guy creates this voodoo doll. He wants lots of money, And the guy's like, but how can you prove that this actually works before I give you all this money? He goes, here's the doll. Looks just like her, right? Yeah, looks just like her. Well, I'm going to stab the doll in the hands. You go home, see what happened. Let me know. So he does. He goes home, and there's his wife. And the wife says, you're never around when I need you. It's like I'm sitting here and the stuff fell on my hand. I had to go to the hospital. Now it's all wrapped up. And he goes, oh, I'm so sorry. She goes, you're so useless. You're so useless. That's why I want to divorce you. You're never around when I need you. So he's like, oh, okay. So he's thinking, wow, this really works. So what does he do? He goes back the next day, gives the Swami guy or whatever all the money, takes the voodoo doll home, right? But as he leaves, in the next room walks his wife. So this was all a plot. So her and the Swami guy created this whole fake plot to get him to do all this. And she now has a voodoo doll of him. So she's trying to work it. So now that he's so convinced that the voodoo dolls work, she's going to trick him into getting that divorce that she wants and all the money, right? So he gets home, the next day, he's looking for his voodoo doll. He can't find it. So she's like, is this what you're looking for? I have it, and I have one of my own of you, right? So she goes and she stabs the doll in the chest. The guy has a heart attack and dies. So she's like, well, nobody will ever know. I'll get rid of the dolls. They'll think he just had a heart attack. I'll get all the money. I'll get, whatever. I don't have to be married to him anymore. She takes the voodoo dolls. She throws them in the incinerator in the apartment that they live. Of course, in the old days, you had an incinerator in an apartment building. It would go down all the way down to the basement, and then they would all get burned, right? So she goes, she gets her hand stuck in the incinerator door, and then she starts, why is it so hot? Why is it so hot? She's burning up, and then they notice the other people who live in the building. They hear all these screams, and down below in the incinerator, you see the one female doll, which is hers, burning up, and then the doll that looks like the husband has got a big smile on his face. So in the end, the husband got his revenge, right? So pretty sordid tale there. So there you have it. What do you got on the back? You got some cool masks. Did these masks look that good when you bought them? I don't know, man, but these are pretty damn good. So anyway, there you have it. Creepy number 26, a very cool issue. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you've read this one, some of your thoughts on it, and maybe you'll want to go and pick these up. These are so good. Can't wait to show you guys some more. I still got a whole stack that I bought that I haven't read, and as I read them, I kind of want to do these shows, and I'm ready and willing to go buy more. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alerted of all of our content as it posts, and please do hit the like button before you leave. Stay tuned. We got more stuff coming up this week. Wild Bill and myself got a bunch more videos of the two of us, so I'll do some other solo stuff as well, and all sorts of things happening here on the Geezers of Comics. So thanks for watching. I am Pete Pardo. Take care, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.